So one of my mom's and I's favorite sayings is when we honor ourselves, we honor everyone. So like as even if it disappoints that other person or even if it whatever, we honor ourselves, it honors everybody, and it actually sends a different vibration out.
Hey there, welcome back to Real Estateable, your go-to podcast for raw, real, and relevant information in the real estate world. Today, we have an awesome interview to share with you with Maxwell Stevens. He is with Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices, Pocono Real Estate, and that is located in Pennsylvania.
Yes, I'm so excited to finally get an opportunity to sit down with Max. Like, you're going to feel really, I don't know, I want to say you're going to feel better walking away from this episode, but truly, I feel like you are. I think that the interactions that I've had with him really in person, but even online, I really think he gets it and at a fairly young age and newer in this industry. So I'm super excited to share, for him to share really what makes him unique and the lessons he's learned through his real estate career. I think it is going to be super helpful and impactful for all of us.
All right, give it a listen. All right, so today we have an awesome guest. We are here with Maxwell Stevens, who we met last August at one of our favorite conventions in Omaha called Explosion. So we're so thankful that we were able to finally schedule you on. I know we had rescheduled a couple times. So thank you so much for being here and joining our podcast.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Super excited.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us a little backstory. You and I were talking before we hopped on, and I kind of just wanted to know what life looked like for you before real estate.
That's a loaded question. But no, so like I grew up in this area my whole life. I lived on the lake. I took my first job was a jet ski, like to the lake, to my job to the lake, renting boats. Then in my 20s, I moved out to Bozeman, Montana, and I skied, bartended, and had the time of my life for like from like 21 to like 27. I was just out there. I was like traveling the world. I was like really grateful to get those opportunities. So I did that. And then I took a job opportunity that had me like traveling to like Arizona, and they were like, "Hey, we have an opportunity in Pennsylvania. Do you know anything about Scranton and Northeast Pennsylvania?" And I wanted to say no because I was like, "I'm never coming home."
Yeah.
That was in the credit card processing business, and that was like the Wild West, right? I had no idea what I was doing there, but I said, "Yeah, I'm actually from there." They're like, "Great, we're sending you out there." I was like, "Okay." So I was doing this, and all of the work that I was doing in this credit card processing business was not giving me any return. Like I was like driving from Scranton to New York to New Jersey, and I said to myself, like, if I put this much energy, time, and like gusto into a real estate business, I would crush it, right?
Yeah.
And so I did just that. I took my test like 10 years ago, and I called the real estate board and I was like, "Hey, I took my test like 10 years ago, or is it still valid?" They're like, "Yeah, you have a month to get it done." So I got it done. And I forgot to mention my mom is a broker owner my
I was
whole
going to
life.
ask
So
why real estate? Like, what made you think, like, if I could do this in real estate? So your mom.
yeah, so it's been my family business my entire life. So my parents used to take me on caravan, from house to house to house to house. And yeah, I never thought I'd be in the business. I never wanted to be in the business. I took my test and never did anything with it. And then like the stars aligned, and I just I like dove in 1,000%. So like I said, if I put this much work into a real estate business, I'm going to crush it. So that week I went and took a refresher course. I drove down to Philly, took a refresher course, studied for a week straight, and then took the test, passed, and drove down to Harrisburg because I was not waiting for them to mail my my license.
Let's
Drove down to
go.
Harrisburg and picked up my license, and I was a licensed agent. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Did you feel like there was any moments of doubt or like what the heck am I doing in the very beginning? Like I don't want to say that you made a quick decision, but like pivoting so radically in like going, just this is it. Was there ever like a time in the beginning you're like, what was I thinking? Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was like I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't want to come home. I wanted to be in Bozeman, Montana. Like I
yeah.
wanted to stay in Bozeman, and it just, I really worked on myself spiritually and emotionally and mentally. And like it was like this is unfolding the way it's supposed to happen. So there were doubts, there were times I wanted to like quit and crawl in a corner and just cry, and I just kind of trusted it, and it ended up being the best thing that ever happened to me.
When did you start? So how long ago was this that you're talking about? You made this pivot. Like how long have you been
So
in?
this was like late 2017 into 2018. So like I think my license says I got licensed in June of 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all in then. I mean, I think that, do you feel, so I felt like at that 7 to 8 year, I'd have to look back for sure. So did you have like, I think those the first like 5 to 6 years, it's like, what are the hard parts? Like, what are the things that you feel like the lessons learned in you in those first like 5, 6 years? What would you say really defined you in those early days?
Well, so I got my license,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, yeah, stoked, right? And then I was like, well, I'm not going to get paid for a while.
Yeah.
So I had to bartend because I
Mm-hmm.
was like a really big professional bartender in Montana, and like that's what I did. I loved it. So I always had that to go back to. So I would bartend at nights at a friend's bar that I know from growing up, and then like get home at like 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and then go show houses at like 8, 9, 10 in the morning. I was exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to have that buffer, that little bit of income to start, because I was starting from negative. I was starting from zero,
Yeah.
right? But I just kept going. Like I didn't give up. I just kept calling people. And so my mom gave me a ton of leads that were like dead in the doornail as a doornail. I called every single one of those leads. And I remember I just got done with a shift. I was exhausted. I woke up at 10 a.m. My day was off. I had the day off, and I sat at a coffee shop and I just went through every single one, calling, no dial, no dial, no dial, no dial, or no answer, no answer. I called this guy, and I said, hey, I know you were interested in a house like 3 years ago, and,
Mm-hmm.
just checking to see if I can help in any way. And he was like, I'm actually, I bought already, but I'm looking to sell this house. I got a job opportunity in New York, and that was my first listing. I got it. So it was an hour away. I drove, and and so in the beginning, I took whatever I could get, like
Yes.
little lot deals for $5,000, buyers that couldn't afford it. I drove around. I just soaked up every single thing that I could possibly soak up, and I just little by slow, I started to pick up, and my first closing was so exciting, and it
Yes.
was an hour away, and I think the check was wrong, and I had to like go back up and get the check. Like real estate school taught me like the ins and outs of like the legalities and the rules and the regulations, but like you don't learn real estate, or I didn't learn real estate until I was put in the fire. And that's how I learned things anyway.
Yeah.
So I just did it. I just did it. I'm grateful I had my mom. I couldn't have done it without her to have my back and like guide me through these things. So yeah, I mean, I think it would be defining moments was like don't give up. Like
Yeah.
just keep going. Like I know people who got out of the business who were licensed with me at the same time, and it got a little hard. They
Yep.
got out of the business. They missed 20, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, like
Yeah.
some of the greatest times in our industry. And so that's their journey. But, I'm grateful I stuck with it. I really am.
I was on a call
I
yesterday, and we were talking about being one more yes, one away from one more yes that changes your life. Like you never know what that one more thing is that can completely pivot, and like the tenacity to keep going, and of course knowing when to quit, but also just continuing to push because you never know where that one more yes around the corner really is going to make all of the difference. And I think that's exactly what you're saying. Like one more yes to continue on led to extremely lucrative years for a lot of us in business. And I think that could be what's, lurking around a corner for someone listening, that tenacity to just keep going.
yeah.
100%.
Yep.
I was going to say too, I was just talking to a client yesterday and she was asking me about real estate and kind of like where I serve and all the things. And I'm like, when I first started, I would drive anywhere. Like I
Yes.
would drive to Nashville, I would drive, to Jackson, Tennessee. And I'm driving to all these markets that maybe I'm not like as familiar with just because I had the time. They reached out to me. I had the clients. They just weren't like super local. And now I'm like, I don't remember the last time I showed a house in Nashville. Like, I'm just like, I try to stay in my little bubble now because now that I've built a business, it's easier to say no to things that I know aren't best suited for me. So,
100%, or refer it, right? Like
mm-hmm.
I only will go to places that I've either lived or know really well, right? Like, and service that or represent that area. But like,
Yep.
if it's an hour and a half away and I really don't know the market, I'll refer it out and build a relationship that way. I think that my referral business is a really big deal because of people like you guys. And I don't like the competition in this industry. I feel like we really need to come together and we're all here for the same thing.
Yep.
And we're here
Yeah.
to help and collaborate. And I think there's plenty of business for everybody. So
Enough room for us to all win, for sure. How do you feel like for you? I don't know. One of the things that drew us to conversation with you was that you're not afraid to talk about the struggle and the not so rosy parts of it. I know that we're surrounded with a lot of people that are not so open about that this is not a perfect industry to be in. And so as much as you want to share, will you share? Because I do think that made a difference in how we walked away, interacting with you. And I think that kind of gave a little bit of self-reflection for us. So I'd love to hear going through, you've been in business now for how long? And yes, there's ups and there's downs. There's absolutely highs and lows in any career. There's, monetary highs and lows in any career. But just, personally, what kind of played into that? And then how did you overcome? And, what were some of the tactics that you were using in all of that? Would love to hear from you.
so yeah, so I mean, we're all human, right? Like we go through stuff. I had to realize, and this was like when I was getting my real estate license, right? So like I had no money. I was, a professional bartender who's a professional ski bum. You know what I mean? Like I was really rebuilding my entire life. And so what I learned was like I need to focus solely on my mental health, my physical well-being, and my emotional well-being. Like those are my things. And so before all of that, like any of the real estate or the job or the, you know, family or anything like that, I had to get me right. And that was like I would go to personal growth seminars. I went to life coaching programs. I would listen to podcasts. I just dove into the spiritual, mental, and physical well-being world. And I feel like if we're able to do that, then anything's possible. But if I'm not okay, then how am I going to do well in anything?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As far as the business, I mean, just the other day I wanted to quit. Like
Just
it's
the other minute ago before I hopped on here.
yeah, like actually before yeah, actually that's
Currently, as
funny you
we
said.
speak.
I just was on a nightmare showing. I don't know. So what I heard, I don't know where I heard this, but it was watch the roller coaster, don't ride it. I
Mhm.
really liked that. Like, so that was a tool that I've used in my tool belt was like, don't jump on the roller coaster with your clients, with the industry, with the news, and just watch it and then be that sound,
Mm-hmm.
mind in the industry. But like how I got through it is, radical self-love. Really. Like, I mean, there were times, I mean, even, we're a feast or famine business, right? So like we really need to be smart with the way we're managing the money that's coming in. I not leveling up your lifestyle and keeping it lean and mean, like that's really important because there's times where like it can get pretty tight. And, so like if I'm not okay during those times, how am I going to manage money? How am I going to manage someone else's money? Like in a transaction. So
Mhm.
I forgot where I was going with that, but it's really just about radical self-love, right? So like when I want to quit those days, and they come often, they really do. This is a tough industry. What I'll do is I'll go get a massage. I'll go, for a walk. I'll go golfing with a dear friend of mine. I'll sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Like just pause and focus on me, and that gets me through. And I think it's a good practice for any industry or anybody really.
No,
Yeah, I think that's so important. I feel like I know Tiffany for sure has started to do more of like the self-care because with running a team and then also opening the brokerage, it's like she has all these like chickens that she's taking care of, and then she's the mother hen, and it's like she's just hasn't been. So I know like she's incorporated massages and things. I like to do the walking. I like to get outside, get the fresh air. My dog loves it. So and I don't bring my phone. So like those are times when I am like not connected to the outside world. And I think that that's so important in our industry to just be able to step away, even if that's 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is. Like my watch, I don't pay for the service to have like cell service when I don't have my phone. So like usually when I get home from my watch is like ding, 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 because
Mm.
it's catching up to all the
it's
text
catching back up.
messages. But I'm like, okay, I just had a 30-minute walk and outside with the fresh air and like I feel good and now I feel better to just answer all of that.
Well, I think the concept here for all three of us and really everyone is like you can't pour from an empty cup. And I think that's where I got, and honestly, a pivoting moment when we met you back in August. Like for me, and Ashley can attest, came home changed. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was lack of better words, shit or get off the pot. Like it was literally like you're doing so much to keep so many things afloat.
Are you looking for ways to become more efficient and save time in your day as a real estate agent? We've got the thing for you. We have created 18 done-for-you email templates that cover the entire process on the buying side and the selling side. The best part is that this is only $49 and includes customizable email templates for the process to get you through start to finish with your buyers and sellers. Head over to realestateable.com/email templates, and that's where you can find them.
When you really have only control of keeping yourself afloat and then the influence you have of everyone else. But I think in this business, we feel like there's so much that is riding on our influence, but when truly it's just an influence. It's not us literally, scooping the water out of everyone's life boat. It's so much more independent with the level of influence. And I think that really is a concept that is hard to grasp for things that you were just saying. Like you were talking about, the finances and the ups and downs and the slows and the busy seasons. You have to find where that almost like the middle of the road is so that you have that grounding force to continue to bring you back to, because really otherwise it is like a scrambling roller coaster of hell that you cannot get off of every turn that you take. Honestly, love that, watch the roller coaster, don't ride it. That concept is so true. So true.
Yeah. I mean, so like, I think too, learning to say no is a really big one for me.
Yep.
And like one of my favorite things is no is a complete sentence. Like I don't
Yeah.
have to explain
Period.
why and like I just did it today. This guy, I'm going for my mom's birthday, We're going for like dinner and stuff on Thursday, and he wants to see houses, and they're, high end houses, and it would be a really good showing, and they're ready to buy. And I just said, no, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Let's pick another day. Okay. And so one of my mom's and I's favorite sayings is, when we honor ourselves, we honor everyone. So like, as even if it disappoints that other person, or even if it whatever, we honor ourselves, it honors everybody, and it actually sends a different vibration out.
Yep.
Right. And that's what it's all about, is just being true to myself and honoring myself.
Absolutely.
Man, I love that. And I also feel like, when you're first starting out in the business, you never want to say no. Like, you're like, yes, I can do that. Oh, you want to see a house at 1 a.m.? Got you. Right. Like, you don't want to turn away anything, because you're like, no matter what it does to your mental health or physical, spiritual, anything, you're just like, I need to get this client. I need to take care of them. But like you said, if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be able to best serve your client. And I think that that's really important. A really important skill that people need to learn is that saying no is okay. And a lot of times, like, if those clients are your people, are your client, they'll wait for you. They don't need to see it right this second. Most people will wait if you just tell them why.
Well,
100%.
Go ahead.
Well, 100%. Like, and how I learned to say no is I didn't do it before.
Yeah.
I said yes to everything,
you're running
right?
crazy.
And, so like, I had to learn the hard way, which I usually do. But so.
Well, I think too, like, our no's, like, it's a not right now. Like, I think that how many solid no's are there? Yes. And I think Ashley and I are going through a season, we're seeing this with our team, that there are some hard no's, but I think when you're protecting time, if someone is a yes, and they're going to do business with you, those no's are really a not right now. Now, I think that there is a black and white, no, we're not meant to be doing business together. But once that happens and you're protecting a schedule and really protecting, that self-filling of your own cup, it's just a not right now. It's like, oh, you're asking to go see this Thursday at 5 p.m. when my mom's, only opportunity for us to go have our birthday dinner. Well, I can't do it then, but I can absolutely do it here.
100%.
It's so easy to think that that's a letdown, but it's like, man, who really operates in any industry off of, I'm available at your beck and call, especially when they're coming to you from a place of like top performing and know that you are, you're winning at this, this industry. Like, no, I don't have a wide open schedule. This does not work that way.
You don't do that with your doctor or 100%. Your attorney. Like, you don't even do that with your car mechanic.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So why do we need to drop everything and go to, like, I've done it. I'll still do it. If I can, I will. But it's, it's just keeping your boundaries is a big, big part of my business that I've learned through the years.
Yeah. I always love when like a client appreciates my time. Recently, someone I was working with, they would be like text me on a Sunday, hey, I have some questions about 123 Short Street. You don't have to look at it right now. I realize it's not business hours. I realize this is family time. Just get it to me next week. Yeah. And so for that, I get like so overly thankful, because not everyone's like that. And so was there like a specific client or time or transaction maybe that kind of led you to this like realization of, I need to focus on myself to be a better agent for everyone else?
I don't know if there was a specific, I think they all piled up on top of each other, and then it all came crumbling down. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think that would be how it happened. It was just like little things would happen, and you set yourself up for it. I used to, it's just, you need to learn. I just needed to learn.
Well, I think we came off of a market where really the only opportunity for anyone to win, us, clients, seller, anybody, we had to be so responsive and so reactive. Like, it was literally the feast or famine that, at least in our market, it was very much, I mean, in really any market, it was so fast paced that you had to remain focused on that. And I know that I'm struggling with, resetting back to what is actually healthy, what is
Mhm.
actually normal, what is actually, still a success. I think that shifting back into having balance is definitely a more difficult thing where, at first it's like, man, this is going to be so good, so good. And then it's like, wait, you're so conditioned for so many years of having to be on the go and having to be so quick in action. I think that is definitely a struggle. Probably a lot of listeners can relate to, is that, that on and off switch isn't quite a black and white switch. There's definitely more gray than you would hope and desire, I think, for sure. Hey,
Good.
Ash, I want to pivot into what I think, like, to kind of wrap this up. Sorry, this is a middle of the road break. I want to go into like defining his brand and like how, Max, I think one of the things I'm drawn to is your social media presence, like how you are portraying what you want to see come out of this market. And so I would love to talk about just, I don't know if that was a shift for you though, because it's definitely like what we saw just immediately following you coming off of Explosion, but maybe talking about your brand, how you want people to perceive you, what you're doing to help that come across in what you're doing in advertising, marketing, social media, etc. And like how you're different from other agents in your marketplace. Are you cool with like kind of wrapping that up with another 5?
Anybody that knows me in the industry knows I'm a huge Alan Dalton fan. I
Yes.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
I heard him speak my first convention that I went to, like when I first got started, and I was just in awe. I was like, that's where the industry needs to go. Remember, it's my family business, so it's been my whole life. I've seen the ups and way downs with my family and my grandparents and my mom. And I mean, my great uncle, my uncles, we're a real estate family. So when I heard him speak about the forever agent and relationships over transactions and what that, like what the industry has become and where it needs to go, I locked right into that. And I couldn't have done it without Alan and my mom. Really, where I'm positioning it is where I like how I would want to be treated if I'm selling my house or if I'm buying something or if I just had some questions. You know what I mean? Like a consultative, friendly, no pressure approach. Like, hey, maybe it's a good time to buy. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a good time to sell. Maybe it's not. Like, let's work with your individual situation because everybody's different. Doesn't matter what the market's doing.
Yep.
It
Yep.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what the market's doing. What matters is, are you okay? How can I help you? What do you need right now? What do you think your plan is in the next, however long? That right there, I started with that and I'm doing it to the bitter end. And it may not give me instant transactions, but I can guarantee you I'm the most respected, the most trusted, and in the industry, like in my market.
I agree, and that comes across for sure. I know so many of our listeners are going to follow you after this episode, but that definitely comes across. Are you intentful in it? Like, are you intentional in how you're portraying that, or is that just really just permeating across the board? That when you say that you believe that, that's just everything intertwines all in once, or is it intentional that is your messaging? That's
No,
coming.
that's like in my DNA.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
how I want to run my business. That's how I want to treat other people. That's how I want to treat other agents. Gino Blafari says that we help people achieve their goals faster than they would in my absence,
Yes.
right? I
Yep.
love that. And if that's everybody. That's not just clients, that's not just buyers, sellers, investors. That's the guy at the supermarket, the guy at the gas station, my mechanic, my therapist, my everybody, like other agents. I want to be a helpful, positive influence in people's lives. And if I do that, I'm going to be just fine. I know that. I know that true with my higher power. I know it just all aligns energetically. And I want to be able to sleep at night. you know,
Yeah.
I, I want to, lay my head on my pillow and know that I did a good thing today. I helped people out. And that's the other thing. Like when we focus out, we don't have time to think about ourselves.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the most amount of turmoil I get is when I'm in self-pity, right? I'm not enough. I don't have enough. I'm not cool enough, or I don't have enough money, or whatever. That's when I'm in the most, turmoil, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when I focus out and help others, always contribution, you look at any religion, any spiritual teaching, anything, it's all about focusing out and helping others. And I just happen to be in real estate and I use
Very
this
cool.
as a the vehicle to do that. And it's proven to be the best way. The best way to have a successful business is to not think about it and focus out. I actually did this yesterday. So in the beginning, I'm always looking at my numbers, right? Like, oh, what are my numbers? What are my numbers? I've made a decision because I almost did it yesterday. I'm not looking at my numbers this year. I don't give a shit. I want to help as many people as possible, whether they buy, sell, invest, whatever they do. That's my goal. And then we'll see what happens.
I love that.
We are so much like that too. I feel like especially like around, conventions, conferences, and other people in different markets, people will say, what's your GCI? And I'm like 142 families, maybe
Yeah.
100 families, maybe 50 families. It always goes back to the amount of families we were able to serve. And it is so much more focused than that for sure. I also feel like in general, when you're doing that, it's almost like the success will follow you. Like if you
100%.
head towards that, the success is going to follow you as well. I do think that's a difficult thing as a business owner, like as a team leader. I'm like, but I got to balance the books. I got to make sure people are getting paid and like all of those things. It's kind of like it, but I also think that there is an overzealous approach to that too, where, yes, those things need to happen. And yes, you need to be working so far ahead that it's like, even in the highs and lows, it will all come out in the wash. But I do think probably some of us are struggling when it's like, yes, but my rent is due. Yes, my bills need to be paid. But I do think that success will follow you if you head in that direction. 100% highs and lows market, getting into the industry right after the recession where no deals were being had. It was like, do the things that successful people are doing, pour out more than you're expecting to have returned, and it will absolutely follow you.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard it where it's like do 10 cents of work for 5 cents of pay,
Yes.
you
Yep.
know, just put in more than you want, than you think you should. And I think too, the the clients appreciate it more.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So you got, Mr. Salesman over here. I'm number one. Then you got this guy saying, "Oh, it's a great market to sell. You should sell. You should sell. You should sell." And then you got another person saying, "Hey, what works for you? Is this the right time? Maybe you shouldn't sell. I don't know. Like, what? Let's talk this out." And the client's like, "Whoa!" It's an instant differentiator
Yep.
when you're going up against multiple agents. And it's like I have one the other day. One of my things is no pressure.
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
no pressure, and it takes the pressure off of me for the presentation. And I'm just here at your house seeing how I can help. If you think it's a good fit and you want the help, great. I can do it. I can work as fast or as slow as you need me to. If not, let me know if you need help in the future.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It takes the
I
pressure
know.
off of all parties, and the clients so much more appreciate that than where the industry's gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agree.
I know. I always tell sellers, they'll be like, well, when should we list it? How fast and all the things.
When's
And
the
I'm
best
like,
time?
I'm
What's
on
the
your
time,
time.
Bruce?
So whatever time is best for you is the best time to list, because regardless of like a spring season or a dead winter season, it has to be the right time for you to move. Like, are you going to be homeless, or are you going to have to rent, or are you going to have, figuring out helping them figure out the moving pieces versus, yeah, let me put my sign in the yard tomorrow kind of thing. It's not about me. It's about you, and then also I'll provide the experience to help guide you through that.
100%. And that's a big Alan Dalton thing is how's the market? It's very opportunistic for buyers, sellers, and investors. We find the opportunity in whatever, in any market. It doesn't matter because what matters is you and your situation. So if you need to wait till next year, let's wait. Let's find the opportunities while that's like in that time frame, and then we'll work from there.
We need to get Alan on the podcast.
I can make
about
that
forever
happen.
agent.
He's a dear friend of mine.
Oh, dang. Give us
I
the
love,
hookup.
yeah, I love him to death. He's helped me and my mom and our brokerage. He's one of the greatest minds in the industry because he sees things coming, like years and years away. And now, like, you think about like everything that's happening in our industry, with AI and all this stuff, people want a relational agent. They want someone they can trust. They want a human touch, right? Like that's all coming down the pike, and he's just amazing. He's amazing.
Well, I feel like I'm super excited for that. I think that like that type of market industry, all of that, I think that speaks to a lot of our why and why we're in real estate. I think a lot of our listeners are the same way, that the people part of this business and really filling the gaps and the needs. I get excited about that for sure. And I don't think we ever lost that. I just think that it is becoming so much more of a forward focus for honestly our society as a whole, but really in real estate, thinking about the whole person, the whole situation and every approach that you go through. And I think that could be a key takeaway for a lot of us today is that, if we could just be more focusing on the big picture for each person that we serve, I think that we can leave our community, our communities, our world really a better place by the influence that we do have. But really, it just honestly is doing right by our industry, and more agents that can really grasp onto that, it really can change the face of how realtors and agents are perceived across, honestly, our country.
Well said.
Sure.
Really well said.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree enough.
Yeah, absolutely. We're so thankful, Max. I feel like everything that I am able to consume on, social media and different reels and things that you put out, everything that you those tidbits of things are so impactful, and they usually hit me at the right time. The algorithm is like, you need a little Max today. So I'm going to encourage everyone to really, and you probably don't even know that. I don't even know if that's, part of your why of what you're doing, but they're definitely, my scroll ends up on some things that might even be old news, that right at the right time. So I'm going to encourage you, if our listeners want to find you on social media to kind of have that same influence, where would they go looking for you? Where are you at most of the time?
So I'm I'm everywhere.
Well, how do they find you?
Well, so hang on. I really appreciate you saying that because it takes so much work and money and planning and thinking to do all that stuff. So it really means a lot to me because it just, you don't know if it's working. You put all this stuff out there and you just really don't know. So thank you.
I will start letting you know more.
We'll start commenting.
We've learned this, being social media is truly about being social on the media. So I do need to, and probably not just you, letting people know that, that make influences and changes and differences in your daily, we need to be saying that more. So yes, it means for sure.
It means the world. Thank you. So I post on like my strategies, posting on Facebook, then I post on Instagram, then I post on TikTok. So those are like my main threes. And then I sprinkle in, YouTube and LinkedIn. So everything should be at maxwell.realtor.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you for spending your afternoon with us. And if you haven't had a chance to follow Max, you definitely want to follow him. Like he said, he's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all the places you can find him at Max.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, guys.
Okay, so just like I thought, Max definitely poured into us and really, I feel like influenced me to continue pushing towards the things that matter really in life. I mean, yes, in this industry, yes, in our career, but really as a whole person. What would you say, Ash? What would you say your takeaway, like the biggest thing that you really feel like you're going to walk away with from this episode?
I loved when he was talking about the roller coaster, like
Mhm.
watching the people ride the roller coaster instead of riding with them. I think that that's so important because in our industry, I feel like you have to keep just a level head. And so when you're riding the roller coaster, whether that's, if you're prospecting for business and it goes up and you're busy and then you don't, and then you don't have any business, that's a roller coaster. You make a bunch of money and you spend a bunch of money, that's a roller coaster. Emotions, all of those things. It's like, don't hop on the roller coaster. You want to be just walking the flat ground, level headed to help your people just make the best decision moving forward. What about you?
Honestly, I think that like that the professional in this industry is going to know how to navigate that really well, and that is a skill that has to be honed and practiced and in like almost have a place to come back to continuously. That's a tricky one and it's tough. I definitely think that was impactful for me as well. I think that what I loved is a lot of like the grounding forces for him with the forever agent and making an impact on clients as a human being as a whole, not just about the real estate, not even just about the home, but how can I help you, how can I serve you? And I'm sure everyone knows by now that that is a really big heart of my business, the way that I serve, the way that I lead, the way that I really try to you really try to leave the industry different. And I think if we can take even a little bit of glimpse of that away and have that as, the focus and the transactions and the people that we're serving, regardless of that turns into a transaction, I just think about how much difference we can make in the communities that we're serving. So it was a really good reminder, and it was a really good reminder to just kind of like round back to like where that all came from me. It's like you go out and you practice and you do these things, but really what he was talking about was a lot of foundational stuff for me in my business. And so encourage you guys, yes, follow Max. He's all over everywhere. He's not kidding. Maxwell.realtor if you need to connect with him as a referral partner, but really the impact and influence of the things that you're consuming, more of that in your lives, I think can make a difference in your careers too. Other thing I would encourage everyone to follow and listen along with Alan Dalton. I love his Boston accent. We love Alan as well, but we kind of got a little of a glimpse with that with Max. And I think that's some of my key takeaways just in general. Just a really good time spent with Max. I appreciate him pouring in to all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like him just talking about like being grounded and like
Yes.
when he starts to feel himself to spiral or get on the roller coaster, he's like, wait, let me book a massage. Let me go for a walk. I think that that's so important. And I feel like we're always willing to cancel on ourselves
Yep.
to do more for other people. And so sometimes you have to take a step back and be like, I need something. I need outdoor time. I need to relax or take a nap or whatever it is. So I think just him explaining kind of how he does that, easy practical steps that anybody could, implement into their business. So
yeah, so good. So thankful for this time together for sure. I feel like, can I just start to schedule a massage on the daily? I think I need that self-checking on the daily. Is this?
I think you could do that. I think you could afford that.
I'm not even,
Put it in the budget.
It's funny because I'm like, I'm not talking about the checkbook. I'm like the time affording of that. I'm like,
100%.
I don't know. Don't know about that. So good. So good.
All right. If you found this episode helpful, make sure you share it with a friend. Give it a 5-star review. You can find us everywhere at Real Estateable, and we will see you next time.